3.5 billion people suffer from some forms of oral disease.
I didn't realize accessibility to dental care was so much of a problem.
Right now, we have 3.3 dentists per 10,000 population.
Health exclusion
It
is
is
a
a
big
huge problem.
But the technology is coming together to allow us to address some of these problems.
We thought of, what if we train a model using technology to make dentistry accessible? If it's missing dentists, what can we replace with technology?
How do we make dental care accessible so we can use it as a preventative tool rather than a reactive tool?
Luma Brush is the first AI-powered toothbrush who enables you to do home diagnostics for oral disease.
The detection is more accurate than a dentist just looking in your teeth.
It's not in replacing the dentist, it's embracing the dentist and make their life easier.
Game changer. In 5 years' time, when you go to a doctor, if the doctor's not using AI to diagnose, you're going to choose another doctor. Hi, I'm Brett King.
And I'm Julia Michelin.
Welcome to our conversation today about the future of oral healthcare.
And let's talk about Luma Brush.
Yeah, Luma Brush for sure. So I guess, the reason we're coming together today is there's a big problem globally with oral healthcare that needs to be addressed, and technology's coming to the point where it is feasible to have a different approach to this problem set.
Exactly. So shall we start with how we met, the day we met, and how everything started?
Yeah, because I'm a futurist and you're a dentist,
Yep.
and it's an unusual combination to be putting together a startup like this.
It isn't it?
Well, it all started in Sydney, Australia, and I had a sore tooth and I needed to go see the dentist.
Yep.
So I ended up in the studio and you treated me for a root canal in the clinic, but something else happened.
So basically, I was working the dental practice, and this patient came saying about the future of dentistry, about the technology in dentistry, and I was like, who are you?
Who am I?
No one likes to talk about this, right?
No, I remember I talked specifically about two things, because there was two things that I was interested in. One was the Japanese trials to use gene therapy to regrow adult teeth. Yeah. And the second one was using 3D printing or CNC machines more accurately for producing crowns in the clinic. And I asked if you guys were using that technology.
It's not a common patient, right?
It's not a usual patient.
Not a usual patient, yeah. For sure. But yeah, after that, we keep the conversation. And I remember we talk about basically the relation of oral disease and the disease. So basically, oral disease, it's more than 35% of the disease. And I remember this number quite shocked for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't realize accessibility to dental care was so much of a problem. Like even in the United States, the most chronic disease in the United States, the most common chronic disease is oral health disease, 35% of the population. But then you told me a number about the number of people globally who were affected by undiagnosed oral disease, and it blew my mind. Do you remember that number?
Yeah, so basically half of the planet, that's 3.5 billion people, suffer from some forms of oral disease. So this is like a big number, and it is a data from 2019.
Right, so it
so
could
imagine
be
today.
Worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just that we have oral disease in instances, but this then contributes to significant problems later in life. So what was the statistic you gave me earlier about the total tooth loss above the age of 60, was it?
Yes, so above 60 years old, 23% are edentally, so they suffer from total loss of the tooth.
So they have no
23%.
teeth left.
They have
so
no
this
teeth.
is 23% of the adult population at age 60.
Yeah.
That's a crazy number.
It is.
And so this all stems from the fact that people don't get regular attention to their teeth. So let's sort of take a step back. What is the problem that is preventing people from getting adequate oral health care? Is it access to dentists? Is it cost? What are the statistics behind that?
Well, so it is a factor of a lot of conditions, but it's basically awareness. So education goes there, research as well. So like it's expensive to go to a dentist, or diet change as well. So our diet habits as well, and like unhealthy diets and long waits for dental care.
Right.
So right now we have 3.3 dentists per 10,000 population. So that's not enough dentists into the space right now. And it's bad distributed. So it's more in the big cities, in the
Right.
big space.
And I do know that the statistics from the United States show that lower income households have lower access to dental care as well. I mean, that's the case around the world. So that is not only affordability, but an accessibility issue.
Yeah.
You know, I know when I was researching in the African market, for example, when we're looking at financial inclusion there, one of the problems was the same. It was getting access to a bank. Like for the average sub-Saharan African, which is the highest unbanked segment of the world, wanted to go to a bank branch, then that's a significant problem. And I can imagine it'd be even tougher. It seems like more bank branches around than dentists' offices. So that's even tougher. In fact, in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, it would cost a month's salary just to be able to afford the transport to get to a major city centre where they could get access to financial services or dental care.
Yeah, this is really interesting because you basically start your career in the banking space. Like you create the first digital bank in the world. So that's definitely something. That's a thing. But we see a lot of similar things into dentistry and banking in terms of accessibility, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because financial exclusion is a big problem, and health exclusion is a big problem. So it's a very similar thing. But the technology is coming together to allow us to address some of these problems. So previously, if you wanted to get good health care, it starts with an oral health assessment. And historically, you have to go to a dental clinic and a dentist looks in your mouth. And then if they want higher resolution, they would use a OPG or an X-ray to find out what's happening in your teeth. But given we already know that there's not many dentists, there's not enough dentists in the world, and so getting access to a clinic is going to be a problem, and then affordability keeps people away. You've got multiple reasons why people aren't going to the dentist.
Well, first you have the education, right? Because with for example, who introduced the way we eat or what we eat, it's like family, and they teach us that we need to brush and everything. So you have this first social access, that it's like accessibility, right?
Yeah.
And awareness.
Yeah, awareness.
So we have the diet introduction and the oral hygienist introduction. So this came first. So if you don't have this, where are you going to receive? You're going to receive this information, let's call information. You're going to receive like at the school.
At the school, or maybe, but even knowing you have to visit a dentist is going to be part of life training.
And sometimes the mother, they don't know that they need to brush their kids' teeth.
Yeah.
You know, and this is where you basically start the problem, because they don't know what to do and how to do.
And so if you want to teach kids to brush, you brush their teeth for them until they're able to do it themselves. It's tricky. But there's also fear of the dentist. You know, we've talked about this often. What's these Hollywood movies? Dentists are always...
Dentist is always scary.
the scariest person.
Yeah, this is really frustrating, because I always like to go to a dentist, but when I start dentistry, I realized that it's definitely not common. Yeah, I was like PR. 1 in 1 million.
Yeah.
Like, I love to go to a dentist. I had a great time. I love even the smell of the dentist.
Oh, really?
I love it.
The clinical smell.
Yeah, because it smells clean. It smells like floor.
That's what attracted you to dentistry at the start?
Yeah, the power of the smile. I like the difference that when you smile, and the smile can even be a communication.
Yeah.
So like it's a good way to start a conversation. It's really powerful.
So in 2015, I was just looking at the numbers before we came in. There was something in the order of almost $60 billion of lost productivity from dental problems in the workforce. So this is people with an emergency dental issue or something that's going to affect their access to work. Yeah. And you've visited Kenya recently, and with professional athletes. These are some of the best long-distance runners in the world. Yeah. What did you find in terms of their oral health?
Well, yes, I had a great experience in Kenya. I went to Iten. This is like a remote area in Kenya, but it's basically where they have the high performance athletes. So the best in the world, they basically came from there. And I scan the athletes there, and 95% of them, they had dental issues. Yeah. And they were sharing the experience that they had. Some of them had, for example, they need to fly to US, for example, to run a marathon. And then at the flight, because of the high pressure, some of the athletes had a problem with their infection and then couldn't go to the marathon. Imagine...
With a tooth infection?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he started to have like a lot of pain in the plane because of the pressure, right? So he had already the disease, he had already the condition, but because he didn't treat or he did anything, need the flight, that was something that make the pain go worse, right? And then enable him to go to the marathon.
So he couldn't even compete.
Yeah.
That's crazy. People are fearful of the dentist as well.
Exactly.
Because of those things associated with it. But one of the key elements is if you go to the dentist and it's not a major problem, if you don't have an abscess or you don't have major decay, then it's obviously less painful. It's going to be less traumatic.
Yeah.
But a lot of people only go when they've got a pain. And by then, when you've got pain, damage has already been done to the underlying tooth structure. Right?
So this is one thing that we see a lot, right? Work as a dentist, that people come to you with the pain, with the disease already there, with the big holes, Yeah. So why they don't come for more prevention, more scale and polish, more cleanings, more small fillings that you can reverse? So that's one point, right? Why this is happening? One, it's the cost. Because they have the fear of the pain or the fear of the cost, right? So we know that a dental tooth pain is one of the worst, right? Yeah. It's really, no one wants to feel this because it's really painful, right? So because of this fear, I think people wait to go because they might have something, but if I go to the dentist, you tell me.
No, but I think that's true, is that it's like you don't think about it actively until there's a problem. And that's part of the education process. But also the reality is that if there is a pain and then there's, you have to go in the setting, more than likely it's actually going to cost you a lot more money to get that treatment because, more damage has been done to the tooth. And it's also going to be more painful to rectify the problem if there's already pain there because it's inflamed and so forth. Yeah. So getting that early and preventing damage to the teeth is the challenge, especially given we saw the data before that 23% of the world's population have lost all their teeth by the age of 60. Yeah. So this talks to prevention. But the problem that you raised that first time we met and talked about this in detail is you have to go to a dentist to get an assessment of the health of your teeth. You have to go to a dentist to be able to fix any of those problems. And if you're not going to the dentist early, then that's going to lead obviously to more expense and more pain later on.
Yeah, so the problem basically with dentistry, instead of focusing prevention, a lot of times it's reaction. So you have the disease, you treat the disease. And this, as you said, it is expensive. Like start with a small filling and then a big filling is more expensive than a small filling. And then you have root canal, it's more expensive. And then you have implants, more expensive. So the bigger the trouble, more expensive, right? Yeah. So how we change this, how we use technology that it's already available.
Yeah. So when we started on this journey, that was the question we wanted to ask. How do we make dental care accessible so we can use it as a preventative tool rather than a reactive tool? And we started with a simple concept. Maybe we could use a smartphone, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we started to play with, getting people to try and scan their teeth. We ended up in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, at the Digital Nomad Summit. And there we did a hackathon. And as part of that, we looked at, trying to figure out a way to use the smartphone to scan your teeth to detect cavities. And that was partially successful. We started to get some traction with that. But then you've got the problem that actually the back teeth.
Yeah, you cannot
you can't see with the smartphone, right? Yeah, it's too dark and you can't get there. So you found a pretty cool toothbrush manufactured in China with an intraoral camera attachment.
So even before that, we discussed how interesting this point of life is with AI, right? So AI is definitely not a new concept since the 1950s, right? But now we have the capability to use AI to do really amazing things. One of them is image recognition, deep learning. So basically on this, we thought of what if we train a model that it's using technology to make dentistry accessible. So like if it's missing dentists, what can we replace with technology, or not replace, but the diagnostics need to be replaced. We need to send them to a dentist or prevent.
Right. So if we could use AI to detect the problem earlier, then when we send you to a dentist earlier, that intervention or prevention can take place. So you're right, AI modeling this is the moment in time. Deep learning or convolutional nets, as we call them, specifically this type of image recognition that we're using. These technologies have only become available in the last few years. The first sort of deep learning concepts obviously started with people like Jan LeCun and Geoffrey Hinton, who won the Nobel Prize for this. Yeah. And as you said, it goes back to the 1950s. But the fact that we can now train models on desktop computers and so forth is very new technologies.
Yeah. So I watched two really interesting documentaries about AI. One of them was from Google DeepMind, who talks about their journey and everything. And the other one is the AlphaGo, the Go one at the YouTube. They're really interesting because we basically start to train the AI capability playing games, right? Yeah. So you have like Lee Sedol, and then you have Kasparov, right? So it was really interesting to see like machines, like AI models, games beating humans. For the first time.
But that sort of helps us understand a little bit of the evolution of AI as well.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about Garry Kasparov and IBM Deep Blue, as it was known back then, I think it was 1996 or 97.
97.
Yeah, 96, he beat the computer.
And 97, the computer
beat him.
Yeah.
But that was an expert system. So what we essentially did back in those days was we would try and encode in the computer code all of the strategies for chess.
All the possible movements.
Right. And the expert of the system was choosing the best strategy for that path. And it beat Kasparov, at the time was the grandmaster, one of the top chess players in the world. But today we have deep learning, which is a different technology entirely, where we're actually training computers to recognize images and patterns. And we started with these games. So now you could train an algorithm in 2 or 3 hours to do what took IBM years to do.
It's really impressive. With deep learning and with backpropagation. And I remember we went to AI Congress back in Bangkok, and it's one environment that I love it. I love technology, even a little bit more focusing in dentistry space. But anyway, and I saw like everything that it is already possible, it's already happening in so many fields, right? And in dentistry, we have so much to do. So we say, we had the problem, we have this half of the planet suffering from our disease, and we have the solution, how we bring the
AI
technology.
Can detect. We felt confident that we could build an AI foundational model that could detect oral disease, because that's just pattern recognition, which is what these machines are very, very good at.
Yeah.
And then we need to figure out how do we get that data into the model to do that deep learning and the pattern recognition.
Yeah, so what you said, coming back to that story that you said that we went to Chiang Mai to the Nomad Summit, it's because we were trying to use AI to solve this problem. But back there, we thought it was possible with the phone.
Yeah.
But then we faced the problem of like, we cannot put the phone inside our mouth to see the third molar, the wisdom tooth, for example. So we came back with the Luma Brush.
Yeah.
It was where Luma Brush was born, basically. So with this intraoral camera connected with a simple device, like a toothbrush that everyone needs, everyone uses it, we could create this amazing model.
Yeah.
That nowadays is like a kid.
Well, you make it sound very simple, right? But again, being able to scan enough people and scan their teeth to get enough data to be able to build these foundational models is a real challenge. We had a number of starts and attempts at this. So we started the business in Thailand at the time, and we were working with dental clinics. But getting dental clinics to do the scans was hard. Really difficult.
It was really difficult.
We just weren't getting any numbers or in volume to do this. And obviously, we still want to make this easier to use. So, trying to scan at home, well, we started with the smartphone camera and testing, and then we migrated, as you said, to the Luma Brush. And so it's a fairly small camera.
Yeah, really high quality.
Yeah, with the LED lights around it, so you get the benefit of the lights. You connect it to the USB port of the smart toothbrush and can scan.
Yeah.
And, of course, we could do this separately just as a standalone camera as well. But it's good to have the psychological association with the toothbrush.
So basically what Luma Brush is, it's like electric toothbrush where you have the camera, the intraoral camera. So with this camera, you can find and detect oral disease based on the AI model. So Luma Brush is the first AI-powered toothbrush who enables you to do home diagnostics for oral disease.
So now we can get right to the back of the teeth. So you can use that on the bottom of the toothbrush, just like you would not use your normal toothbrush, but using the camera to see. Yeah. And you can scan. So the same pattern as you would use for brushing your teeth, you now do with a camera. Yeah. And we're looking at those teeth. And of course, most of the decay happens not on the sides of the tooth necessarily, but it's in between and on the top of the teeth, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm so proud of this dentist.
You trained me as a dentist.
I'm so proud of this futurist dentist.
Futurist dentist. So we had the problem of data collection. So how did we solve that problem of data collection? Because, this is really the secret of the success of how we built out this foundational model.
Yeah, so basically to train a model, or if you're working with AI, for example, artificial intelligence, the one really important thing and the most important thing is data and data quality, right? Yeah. So you need high quality data to train a model and to receive the right results. So we have amazing collaboration with universities around the world, especially in Brazil. So I'm really glad for the Brazilian universities who help us with the data collection, because their students were really into learning and they really want to learn about artificial intelligence. They want to, because when you use a high quality camera to look inside the patient's mouth, you can even detect more.
Yeah.
So it's better than
using the mirror.
It's better than using the mirrors. Yeah. So they were really surprised because they say we could use this instead of the mirror. Like, I don't want to use the mirror. I want to use this. Yeah, and I thought this was impressive because the power of Luma Brush can even extend. Of course, the focus that we have is creating this device that we can use at home, whatever you are, even in remote areas. And during the data collection, we noticed there's a lot of ways to use Luma Brush. One of them is with kids.
Yep.
Because kids love technology. They love to know what's happening.
Actually,
right?
tell us the story, because when you were in the clinical setting, in the university, at the dental hospital, it was very impactful for me when you told this story because it made a lot of sense. But you had a young child come in. He must have been maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, he was around 6 years
and
old.
very distressed. How did you use the camera to help him?
Well, so basically we were in this pediatric clinic. So when it's like a kid's clinic, and this kids came and he was already crying. So he didn't want no one looking at him. He didn't want to sit at the chair. You know, he was crying. He didn't stop crying. And he was crying for like at least 10 minutes. So like he stayed, like he didn't want to talk with the dentist.
And he was in pain as well, right?
Yeah, he was crying, right?
Because
so
of the pain,
yeah. And he was afraid, of course. Then I came with the Luma Brush. And then I say like, because the Luma Brush connects with your phone. So I came with the phone and the Luma Brush, and I say like, oh, let's just see what's happening. So you hold this phone for me. And then he stopped crying like, oh, that's a phone. I like phone.
Yeah.
So he grabbed the phone. And I was like, now we're gonna look and put this inside your mouth. So this is like a camera. So you can see on the phone what's happening. And then he stopped. He definitely stopped crying and then allowed us to look inside his mouth. So this is a big step in when you're dealing with kids, right? So you basically made a kid stop crying. And then when I look with the camera, I saw like a big cavity. So that's why he was crying so much, because it was really painful. And imagine if he didn't allow us to check and he just left.
Yeah, he would have just had ongoing pain.
And
so he was able to see the cavity for himself.
Yeah, and then because he saw, he said, no, okay, now I have like a big thing. I need to, even like for a 6 years old kid, they see a big hole. They understand that they need to do something, right? Otherwise, it's just going to get worse. So this is the power of using this technology, you know, and this is just one example, right? So
we've done this data collection. You've done the data collection in Brazil, in Kenya, in Thailand, here in UAE, you know, in Australia and so forth. We've done this data collection. So we've now ended up with this huge data set. And we've worked with another dental university in Pakistan this time, where they have helped us do the labeling and inferencing training. So again, the universities seem to be very open to this type of collaboration because they realize that AI is going to be a common part of dental treatment in the future, and their students need to be able to use this technology as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now we have a huge data, right? So we have more than 35,000 photos and videos, and it's really important for us that this data came from different parts of the world. So when we deal with AI, when we train a model, we want to make sure it's going to be different parts of data collection, so you don't have the VS. So this is a really important part for us. And another thing is the future of dentistry is the future with AI. And I even talk about this into my book, The Future of Dentistry, and how AI will change everything. And it's not just in one part of the field, it's all the part of the field. It's not in replacing the dentist, it's embracing the dentist, and make their life easier, their clinical life easier. And it's beneficial for the patient as well because they can understand better what's happening. So we need to talk about this to bring this to dentistry.
But this is not just happening in dentistry. We are seeing this happening in many areas. You know, both you and I are wearing a Whoop today, you know, which we track our sleep with, and, you know, we now analyzing lab results and so forth through this. So people are getting just more used to wearing their Garmin or their Apple Watch or whatever to track their steps and do activity. And we call this the quantified self. Right? So this is the technology that we've seen emerging with wearables and so forth. But the next stage of this is using this data to activate changes. You know, so this is what we call the next stage of this is called the activated self, when we can take this data that we are capturing through these devices and use this to maintain and monitor our health. David Sinclair, who's one of the leading PhDs working with Harvard Medical on longevity, says it's not anti-aging that we're seeking, it's pro-maintenance that we're seeking. And that's a good analogy for preventative care in oral health as well. If we can scan your teeth, either at a dentist or at home with Luma Brush, and we can detect a cavity early, then the cost of that, the pain of that is going to reduce over time, right? And it's going to mean you have more of your teeth left when you get older.
Yeah. So basically what happens with this device as well, they are a health tracker, right? Yeah. So you basically track your daily habits. And this is game changer. To have a health habits and to be a health person, to have a health lifestyle, you need to have a daily tracker, right? And sometimes we kind of forget this for oral health because we don't have the device, right? We have Whoop and Garmin and many others device who track our exercise or diet. But for oral health, it was missing this. Yeah. And that's why and how we create Luma Brush as well.
So we're going to track your daily behavior with the teeth, but then we get you to scan on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
We track the changes in your teeth over time, which we can see visually. Yeah. And at what level of accuracy are we getting diagnosis for like cavity detection and missing teeth and these types of statistics now with the foundational model?
So now we are already more than 95%. So this is like a really good result. Yeah. And you're really proud of that. So we have basically decay, tartar, staining, missing tooth, fillings as well, so amalgam filling.
Because some fillings you need to replace over time, right? Because
we kind of say that's an old school way to do a filling, that's amalgam filling. And now we have more advanced way to do it, the composite fillings. Yeah. So some dentists recommend to remove some of them. So this depends a little bit, but it's important to detect if you have amalgam filling. Yeah, yeah. So our model detects this as well, and our model detects the number of the tooth as well, the type of the tooth. So if it is a molar or if it is a canine or premolar.
Right. So then once we've detected something, then you have to go to the dentist. But we're getting you to the dentist earlier.
Yeah.
And the dentists don't mind because the dentists are getting new patients coming in, and obviously dentists would prefer to treat smaller problems than major issues.
Yeah, and creates kind of communication with the dentist as well, because this is important. You need to go at least twice a year, every 6 months to a dentist to do a cleaning. So, and you kind of create a communication with your dentist, so that's important as well.
So the training of the model, how does that actually take place? How do you take these scans that you've done in Kenya and Thailand and Brazil? How does that go into the foundational model? Can you give a little bit more information on that?
Also, we basically use image recognition, right? So basically, I like to say it's like teaching a kid. So basically, you have all these images and videos from like decay, and then you kind of classify them. So
they're labeled.
Yeah,
by
so
an
you need
expert.
to label. Yeah. So the labeling is being for, of course, dentists. So expert dentists who analyze, okay, this is decay, this is a starter, this is the molar, this is a premolar. So based on this huge data set, as I said, more than 35,000 images and videos. And then you do this and you train the model. So the model says if it's decay or not, and you say if it's right or wrong. And then this is how the model learns.
This is the reinforcement learning.
Learning,
Or what we call backward propagation these days, right? So you get different weightings for different classes of images, and over time this builds into a model.
Amazing, right? Jeffrey Hilton job.
Propagation. Yeah. And so now we have this 95% detection that you can use at home. Yeah. How does that compare with someone going to a dentist and a dentist looking in your mouth with a mirror?
Yeah, so it's a pretty impressive number, I need to say. It's much higher than dentists into the initial years and as dental students as well. So it's a really fair number, and we create a report. And this report can be used for the patient, for the self-awareness, or can send to a dentist. Yeah. So this report is really important. It's always a recommendation that you should visit dentists.
Yes. So to get better detection than what we can do with Luma Brush at home, you would actually need to use an X-ray now, because we had an incident when we were preparing for the investor meeting Well, we had one patient. Did you want to explain what happened there?
Well, so we basically were doing checking, right, if the camera was working, if everything okay before our network event. So we were doing network events in Dubai. And when we did the scan, from this patient, he just went to a dentist 1 week before, right? And the dentist didn't detect anything. It was just for cleaning. And with the Luma Brush, I detect decay on the wisdom tooth.
Yeah.
And I understand because it's really on the back.
Yeah.
You know, you have a lot of things in front and everything. But because we are using a high quality camera, we were able to see.
So the patient went in for a cleaning.
Yeah.
The dentist did not detect the decay.
Yeah.
And the algorithm detected the decay.
Yeah.
Right. A week later. So obviously he didn't get decay within a week. The decay was there when he did the visit. So this is sort of proof of what you said, that the detection is more accurate than a dentist just looking in your teeth, right,
Exactly.
using this technology. And this is available for someone to use at home. This is like a game-changing technology. It sort of really brings together two major things. One is, you know, we haven't been able to have cameras this small and this high resolution ever before, right? So it's this point in time that allows us to do that. And secondly, we haven't had the capability to do image recognition at scale so cheaply that we can do now with artificial intelligence. Those two things just happen to come together at this moment in time. That's why this is the first time ever in the world that this type of technology has been made available. And you're in the process of publishing some academic results on this as well?
Yeah, so as you know, as a Luma Brush team, we are publishing an article about the training and about Luma Brush as well. So it's gonna be available soon. And one really important thing with Luma Brush is how you use technology, how you create this device, but how you make sure this is gonna arrive in remote areas. Like this is a gap of what we were talking initially.
The social mission.
Yeah, not just the social mission, but like you have this problem with oral disease everywhere, and not just related with economic countries, but it's worse in like poor countries, right?
Yeah.
So how we make sure the technology are ready to arrive to this place, right? So this is one important thing for us.
Well, we can talk about the solution to that. I mean, one is that you are actively traveling to these remote locations and handing out brushes. So you're going to the Amazon in, when's that? April, end of April. You've been to Kenya in January. So you're actively coming to some of these communities and getting Luma Brush in there. But you know, we've also come up with the concept of allowing people who buy the Luma Brush in developed economies, like here in the UAE, and we're just about to start distribution of the toothbrush in the retail sector here. In this setting, we'll be able to have people donate a toothbrush to a remote community. So we have to work out how that might happen. And then once we get people using these in remote communities, because this could be shared, you could have one camera used in multiple families. Once we can do that sort of level of detection, that data is going to be very useful. We can feed it back to NGOs and other volunteer dentists to get them out to these communities, because now we have hard data about what problems exist in those remote villages and communities.
Exactly. So the point of going to remote areas is, one, they don't have dentists at all. You know, even when I was in Kenya, in Eton, it is a really remote area. So I thought it was difficult for me to find a dentist. I found one dentist at the hospital, but I need to look for it, right? It's not like, oh, let's dentist around me. It doesn't work like this, because you're not gonna find it, you know. So it's interesting because this is the only way that you see the real problems. You know, you need to be there. You need to listen to the population. We need to, like I went to schools to talk with the kids. They even helped with the data collection. They were like interested about it. They were like looking and helping with the analysis, like, oh, do you know what is this? Or what is this? So he could be able to even look for the problems when I was doing the data collection. So they are interested. they are interested about their own health, you know.
Yeah.
You just need to create solutions as Luma Brush to bring technology to them, you know,
Yeah.
because they want this.
Yeah.
You know, and when I was at the school, for example, in this specific school, I scanned around 20 kids, and just one of them had no issues. So 19 had. And I went to look for a dentist, so like a local dentist where they could go. But of course, you have the financial problem as well. So it's a lot to be done. And with this device, with this technology, we can help this situation, right? Because
Absolutely.
one thing that we notice is when you go to a remote area, it's difficult to do a prevention because there's so many cases, for example, that need extraction.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to do a kind of like a social work to actually prevent oral disease, because it's difficult to find a dentist to treat. And when arrives some dentists, they do extraction.
Yeah, because it's the simplest,
Yeah.
fastest way.
So one difference, one extraction costs 300, one filling costs 2,000. So the
Right.
patient choose for extraction, you know, so this is another thing as well.
Well, we have to work on lowering the cost of this. You also write about robotics
Yeah.
in your book. So how are robots being used in treatment of dental issues now? And do you think in the future that we'll just go to a robot and they'll fix our teeth?
Well, in my book, The Future of Dentistry, I have the whole chapter talking about robotics. We have already, some of them already working and doing implants. Yeah, we have already.
Implants and crowns, right? These
Implants,
are two.
yeah.
Okay.
Because crown, they were able to show in 15 minutes, but it's not available to buy it.
Right.
So for implants, for example, it is available.
Okay.
So you have WOMI in US and WakeBot in China. So this one you can get it, and it can actually help you to put the implant.
Right.
So for the crown, it's coming. Perceptive, it's
Right.
probably going to be the first one.
And the idea behind this is that these robots will be quicker and more efficient and more precise, more accurate
Yeah.
at doing this than average dentists. Because it's been, again, it's pattern recognition. It's been trained on tens and tens of thousands of operations.
We have limitation as humans beings, right? We can see with our eyes, we can make things with our hands, you know, and the way they train the robot, it's really interesting because they train first on the software base, so they train inside a computer at thousands, millions of times, right? And then they learn the environment, and they do this actually again 1 million times, and then they actually do the procedure based on all this training. So think about us, how we could do this and achieve this level of precision. We need at least 10 lives to have
right, but they can do it in simulation in hours.
Yeah, so simulation.
So, you know, I have to do this because I'm the futurist. This is how our conversation started, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about what is it going to be like in 20 or 30 years, the dentist experience? How do you think this technology could have changed, and how will we have closed the gap?
A lot of nice things is coming. I'm really excited about the study from Osaka University in Japan that we're growing tooth. So this one, it's already in clinical trial with mainly kids with agenesis, so kids were born without a tooth. A permanent tooth. So you basically, that's this protein, is AJ1, who
inhibits the regrowth of the teeth. So by turning off this protein, then you get the spontaneous regrowth. Yeah. And so we could actually regrow adult teeth. You could have a third set of teeth for those people that have lost all their teeth, for example.
Yeah, and when you think like, oh, this is a too futurist concept, it's already in clinical trial. So you say about 10 years, 30 years, probably it's going to be there, and I'm really excited actually. And there's another study from UK, from Cambridge, King's College, and actually they are regrowing parts of the tooth, so not just the whole tooth, but like the dentine,
so they can like
and
inject
enamel.
stem cells or whatever into the teeth.
Yeah, so instead of you doing a filling, for example, that it's a fake material, not natural, you actually regrow with natural
teeth.
Yeah, so this is like a game changer, right? And of course you have gene therapy coming as well. So I'm really excited about gene therapy as well.
And then we have robots getting smaller. So one
smaller
proposition,
and smarter.
One proposition was a robot that actually sits on your teeth
Yeah.
and uses miniature laser, a femto laser, to drill your teeth.
Yeah.
Are we already using lasers for drilling teeth at the moment, or is it just metal drills?
Well, so this is actually one Australian company who is developing this it's not a nano robot, but it's a micro robot.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting the way they are doing, because it's literally like a small device that you put, and then you can do the filling. So in the future, we have nano robots as well. I think this what makes healthcare really exciting for the moment is gene therapy, nano robots, and longevity.
Well, longevity, but also just ability to diagnose, right? So this is the thing. We have one example we talked about today where a dentist who's been trained in a clinic missed a cavity.
Yeah.
We are going to have with the AI, it just doesn't make those human mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? And this is why, I say in 5 years' time, when you go to a doctor, if the doctor's not using AI to diagnose, you're going to choose another doctor, because, we're already learning with ChatGPT and Claude and these tools, we're learning that is going to be better at that for cancer diagnosis,
Well, in my case, like even right now, do I want to go dentist who is using AI or not? Of course, yes.
Yeah.
I want to go to a
you want
doctor
the best. You want the best
uses
solution.
AI. First, you can have a lot of ways to using AI who is already available. For example, to analyze X-ray. Doesn't mean that the dentist is not going to look to the X-ray, but you're going to have another tool to help you and to explain to the patient, because this is really important as well.
Yeah.
The information, it's not just to stay inside the doctor's brain, The patient needs to be able to understand, right? And even to the notes. You know how much time we spend in doing notes?
As a dentist? How much
As
time
a dentist, as a doctor, a lot. Hours of our day. So we have already a really busy schedule. And then plus all the notes.
You have to fit in all the note taking.
Nowadays you have AI helping you to do the notes, doing even better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was in a doctor's surgery the other day getting a check, and the doctor's using
AI.
Dictating to AI to take the notes.
So this is not replacing the doctor, it's augmenting the doctor. Yeah. And this is why we need to talk about technology, why we need to talk about AI, and why we need to bring AI to healthcare, because it's going to help us. It's going to help doctors. It's going to help patients.
Well, I think dentists are going to love this as well, because it's going to get them access to new patients.
Yeah.
And we're also trying with dentists who work with Luma Brush, who act as our distributors, because they can sell the smart brush in the clinic. We can encode the toothbrush to that dental clinic, so that if a cavity is detected or a problem is detected, they can have the referral go directly back to that dental clinic. So that's a great tool for dentists as well, to build loyalty and also to build more data on their patients, because they can see in between visits to the dentist, they can see what's happening to your teeth and what habits that you have.
So one really important thing in healthcare, it's the history of the patient. So I remember that you talk about X-rays. X-rays are really important, but you say something that helps with diagnostics. Yes, it helps, because you can see, for example, inside the roof.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to check really small initial cases of decay, the best device is this, better than the X-ray, because the tiny one is not going to appear on the X-ray. So to check initial case of decay, it's not the X-ray is not gonna help. You need a high quality interior camera. It's
That's
just
a really good point.
Yeah.
See, I learn something new every time we talk about this.
No, we are creating a dentist here, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if I could actually ever be a dentist, but I can be at least a clinical researcher, I guess, so a research level. But this is a game changer. For the cost of a smart toothbrush now, around the world, we'll be able to give people access to a technology that can detect oral disease with 95% accuracy at home. That's a game changer. And if that means that more people end up at the dentist sooner and less people lose all of their teeth at the end of their, when they're older, this is a huge benefit. Not only to mention it's going to be, it's going to be great for dentists. Dentists can use this as well. The AI technology that we've built to support Luma Brush, we can license this to dentists as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So this technology can be beneficial for dentists as well, because if benefits the patient, of course, benefits the dentist, right? Yeah. So that's the goal, is to make sure we create a health ecosystem, right? Because we have these numbers and it's crazy thinking that half of the planet suffer from oral disease.
Yeah.
35% of the disease are oral disease. So this is it's a huge number, right? And it's not decreasing with technology, it is increasing.
Yeah. While dietary changes are increasing that as well. As we know, it used to be, I was reading Yuval Noah Harari's book Homo Deus the other week, and he was talking about the fact that in the past, people used to be worried about starvation, not having enough food.
Yeah.
Now the biggest problem, more people suffer from obesity than suffer from famine, right, on the planet. But that also, that poor diet that's led to obesity is also leading to degradation in oral health.
Yeah.
So this is a modern problem as well.
Yeah, I actually started the book talking about how we change our dietary habits, because I think this is so interesting, right? That what we eat, it's related to the decay, and it's related of our disease. And because we are eating more carbs, we are having more disease.
Well,
and
those carbs produce sugars for the teeth, right?
Yeah.
And those sugars are what the bacteria are attached to, which is why you get the decay and caries.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were called caries until I met you. It's the cavities. All right, so we need to wrap up, but if you were to project out, you as the founder of Luma Brush, and I know I'm your co-founder, but this idea, started with that conversation in Sydney, in King's Cross, talking about this. In 3 to 5 years' time, let's say 5 years, what do you hope that Luma Brush has accomplished on the planet?
Well, in 5 years, I hope Luma Brush achieve remote areas, and we can actually bring technology to these areas who need the most.
Right. And changing the way people think about their oral health care. So instead of it being, I have to go to the dentist to get a checkup on my teeth, I can now take control of this myself at home and monitor my health, just like I do with my devices today. It's time to monitor my oral health in the same way with advanced AI technology that can detect oral disease better than a dentist looking in your mouth. And that's pretty cool technology to be involved in.
Yeah.
We're going to change the world.
We are already changing the world.
We're changing the world.
And I would also like to invite you. We are doing some networks events in Dubai.
And we'll be doing other cities as well. We're doing Istanbul on the 20th of February.
Yep.
Then we're doing New York on the 2nd and 3rd of March. So we're going to be visiting multiple cities where we're going to be showing and demonstrating this technology.
Yeah.
So watch for that. Check out lumabrush.ai to find out more information about what we're doing in terms of our meetups.
Yeah.
Or check out our own social media channels.
Yeah, so it's lumabrush.ai. And please send us a message. We are looking for collaborations with dental clinics, with dentists, with investors around the world, and of course, if you like to try the Luma Brush, we are more than happy to show you the technology and how it works.
And I think we should finish with our tagline: brush smarter,
not harder.
Exactly. Welcome to lumabrush.ai. That's Julia Michelin and myself, Brett King, as the founders of this exciting new AI company. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Brett.